How's it going, everybody? The Seer here, and today I'm going to be having a roundtable discussion with Bendable Straws and Updog. Now, we will be discussing Battleworld as far as our initial impressions with the playtest, the second run of the playtest, and our call that we had with Sean, who's one of the developers of Battleworld. There's a lot of good conversation in here, so please make sure to check out Bendable Straws and Updog's video as well. There's going to be a link in the description below. Now, the first portion of the video is going to be the same between all three of us, so that way our audience can see the full interaction that we had. There's going to be timestamps on all of our videos, basically talking about our own portion of our topic. What we're going to be discussing in my video is going to be the Herald battles, the Null boss fight, and how you can really approach Battleworld in a sense. For Bendable Straws video, we do go more in depth with the Spec Ops and some of the gameplay function of Battleworld. Whereas in Updog's video, we go over what improvements were made, what feedback we were able to give to the developers, and how they were able to implement it into Battleworld. So make sure to check out all three of the videos. Again, link is going to be in the description below. Now, if you do enjoy this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the video.
What's going on, YouTube? BendableStraws back with another Envoy exclusive video for you guys. And today we have Updog and Desir joining us to talk about our Battleworld experiences, what they thought about the call that we had with a guy named Sean, and our second Battleworld experience that we had on a second playtest after they made some changes. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Initially with Battleworld, the first playtest was something that was absolutely incredible. It was something we've never seen before. Like you guys can see here, some of the UI that we were seeing was something that was absolutely different. It was just something that we've never seen before. So it was welcomed very well. In the initial playtest, we actually were able to use Pegasus instead of this Astral that you guys see. And it was really nice. The initial playtest was really cool, but it also had a lot of flaws. Some of the flaws that we noticed were that sometimes when we battle, the animations would just go on forever. Like the animations would just drone and drone and drone. There were some characters like this guy named Morbius, man. I'm telling you, he felt like a boss. He would spawn with like 6 safeguards, 6 evades, and your timer just went down in the dumps and you were never able to clear the mission. That was some feedback we gave immediately to the developers on the first playtest. And as the siege days went on, we actually got to see some improvements go by. So I think we did siege day 1, siege day 2, then siege day 3 went about, and then that's when they started to take a little bit of our feedback once we started clearing some zones and things started to get harder. Some of the developers were saying, well, as these Spec Ops missions go, we want to see if you're able to clear it without the Spec Ops missions giving you the bonus VP. So we tried it there. To be very clear with you guys, we all tried it at level 75 Blue ISO 1 with no T4s. We did a base difficulty of the initial test, and that's what we tested with. There were a little bit of discrepancies with some accounts that didn't get brought up, and some of them were level 100, but they still contributed the same amount of points as they would with a level 75 account. As the siege days went on, Lori, one of the members on the Envoy experience for us now on the Envoy server, of course, she said, we're adding a feature to where the timer is actually going to stop when it is your turn. Like, if the enemies are taking a whole bunch of animations and everything, the timer stops. And we also get an additional minute on that timer. So now we're fighting with 6 minutes instead of only fighting with 5. But as you guys play, you guys are going to notice that the timer is way better than it would be if it was just counting down. that was just the first initial playtest, and when we reached the boss node of Null, it was an absolute breath of fresh air. You guys are definitely going to want to reach the final boss. You're going to want to be with your alliances, and you're going to want to clear every zone. No alliance likes to be left behind, especially an event like this. So you definitely want to get your alliance in line. I cannot stress that enough, that your alliances need to be in line when it comes to clearing all of these difficulties. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if everybody starts off on the base difficulty, but you guys can move up the difficulties as you progress within the zones. So about the call, I actually was not able to attend the call, but I haven't even watched it personally. But Updog and Desir were able to attend the call, and they can give you your thoughts here in a little bit. The second play test that we were able to get, we mentioned some changes like, oh, we need to get rid of, say, we need to get rid of one of those missions because it's just, some of them are almost impossible. So they ended up changing the second ones. One of the missions was, it was one of those Morbius missions, right? It was just an impossible mission to complete. So they changed it with something called a Herald mission that Updog is actually going to be covering later in the video. And the second playtest went great until we reached the Siege Day 5, where we couldn't complete anymore. And I guess they didn't want us to continue on forth, but we were testing with our original accounts that we're playing with in Marvel Strike Force. And it was definitely a breath of fresh air. I definitely felt that a level 75 alliance would not fare well in a difficulty 4, or, you know, they would definitely have some issues there. Because when you load into a battle, you can retreat and then you can keep your team, but it will eat up one of your 3 attacks. So you have to plan very, 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 very carefully. We can't necessarily give an honest feedback on the Battleworld store, because it wasn't available. The rewards changed. We don't necessarily know what the rewards are going to be, but it does seem like you guys are probably gonna be getting null shards from the rewards. So I'm not necessarily sure what they're gonna do. Of course, everything is subject to change. So with that being said, the second playtest experience was really good. It left me in a good headspace. It left me knowing that, sure, there was a little bit of intricacies that needed to get completed, but overall it's going to be an amazing test, and they're actually going to be letting us test it a third time with the Astral team. So you guys definitely want to check out these Envoy videos. Initially, Desir, what were your experiences with the initial playtest, the Envoy call, and your second playtest experience?
Yeah, so the initial playtest, logging into it, I was super excited. The UI I thought was really good. We wanted to try to see how the UI would be, basically try to figure things out without them telling us. So being able to kind of go into the zone, kind of see who gets the buffs and who doesn't get the buffs. Each node definitely has, like, use Annihilators, use Extreme X-Men, for instance. So during the blogs that they've been sending out where it's build these teams, it's basically for those tags usually is going to be the case for that. Now, certain teams, like they had Alpha Flight on there, how they're a mixed team, that's probably going to be use Alpha Flight here. There were some bugs we definitely ran into to where you kind of got kept in a loop, but that's going to get fixed. That's just a usual bug type of thing. The playthrough felt very easy, even at the level 75 mark that we were playing at. And some of the characters didn't have the full ISOs, like if it was Hive Mind, Venom wouldn't have it as blue ISO, but you were able to get through it pretty easily. They were definitely taking the feedback that we were giving them, because we had a lot of feedback to where the Morbius that you mentioned, and I think that's one of the ways we kind of got into, hey, let's have another like mini boss node to try to change it up a little bit. When we got to the phone call, with Sean, everybody was definitely honest about the takes that we had regarding it, saying try to make these types of changes that we're going to be discussing later on in the video. And honestly, I did maybe about 2 or 3 days leading up to null, because we had a lot of things in the game, like a lot of screen time. I believe one of the towers came out at that time, correct?
Yeah, that was the kiln. The kiln that was out at the time.
Yeah, so like Monday, I had Kiln, I had Cosmic Crucible, I had War, I had Battleworld, and it just got way too much for me, so I missed that day. And they were welcome to that feedback as well, to where we're saying there was way too much feedback, and for how easy the nodes were, we basically logged in, hit auto, and set our phone down for 6 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that part definitely was lacking for me. Like the first few nodes, I was very excited, and then how easy it was until we got to the Morbius node.
A dang Morbius.
The null fight though was by far the best experience of it. That felt like a real world boss that we've been looking for in the game. It's just trying to lead up to it felt like it was a lot of chores. Like, okay, clean your room, now do your dishes, eat your vegetables, now you get your dessert. Here's null. That's kind of what it felt like for me. The second playtest with the changes they made still felt good, but I feel they need to make more changes personally. The difficulty that we tested on, I think it was the difficulty 5, or yeah, I think it was the difficulty 5 that we did, right? Where it was level 100, 7 red required type of thing.
I believe it was the difficulty 4, because the devs didn't want us to do a difficulty 5 because they were afraid that it was gonna be too hard and we wouldn't get a good experience.
Right. Yep. In that one, we used our actual roster, and it was more of the same. Log in, hit auto. So like for where my roster's at, it's definitely too easy still. I really want them to amp up the difficulty so it's not like another raid where we don't have a sim button. So I really hope they are open to ramping up the difficulty, making more changes, because they've definitely done it the first time. They were listening to our feedback on the phone call, and they even understood. It's like, okay, well, that explains why the participation went down as the days went on, because it was too easy and we had another screen time. So I'm hoping there's more changes, but so far I'm optimistic and hoping that everything does get to where it needs to be.
Yeah, things definitely need to get better before they get worse. I definitely agree. I want the difficulty to be like this flash challenge that we just got with these new enemies that is just absolutely impossible to beat with these characters that we got. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Some of the feedback that we were giving was like, let's try and add scourges. Let's add unique, uniqueness to the fights. And I think that's kind of how they got into the zombie and vampire thing. Maybe they took from that and moved over here. I'm not sure, but if those type of mechanics get put into Battleworld in like certain nodes, that would be chef's kiss right there.
That would be incredible. Updog, what was your experience with the first playtest, the call you had with Sean, with the developers, of course, and your second playtest experience?
Yeah, so pretty similar to you guys. I, like Desir said, I wanted to go in there basically blind. I just wanted to play around with it and see what would happen. I tried teams that like didn't get the bonuses for each node, you know. Like there was there was one that was like, I don't know, there was one that they had bonuses for Sinister 6, but you could use like Hero Spider-Verse or maybe it's like
yeah, something like that.
So anyway, I went the opposite direction just to see how hard it was, because our rosters were all set at level 75 and gear 14. So I wanted to see how hard it was, and it really wasn't that bad. But then the Spec Ops, you know, I kind of knew from what they kind of talked about before we had the play test, and I thought I could just fill all those rows in with all these characters that I didn't need, and you can only use 10 characters.
Yes.
So that was a learning experience, and they do have a lot of information that you can easily miss on there. There's a lot of instructions and how things work. So be looking for that information button, that little I button.
Yeah.
That'll tell you everything you need to know. Bendy over here.
Literally everything you need to know in that little I button.
Yep. So Bendy's like, hey, go check this out. Go read this. And then I read it. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
It explained it 100%. I'll tell you what. See, there's that little I button right there. Oh, there it is. There it is right up there. There's that I button. It'll explain everything for you.
Yeah, that was definitely helpful, but it was a little disappointing because it was so easy. It did feel like we were, it wasn't a full alliance, right, that we were doing because we don't have that many envoys. We were still able to clear each day. I believe they said during the call that the player's voice, they were doing their own testing. They couldn't get through, but the envoys did.
Oh wow!
So that was kind of funny.
Go envoys, let's go.
Yeah. So but yeah, you don't need a full alliance, and I can see why they tested, or they wanted us to test at the level 75 mark just to see how new alliances are going to go.
Absolutely.
But, if you're in an alliance that you're all level 100, then difficulty 4, like we ran in the second one, is still going to be fairly easy for you. Now they did so in the call. We talked about a lot of things. I think they are going to go with difficulty 4. Like, you can start off right away at difficulty 4. And then unlock difficulty 5, so you don't have to go 6 weeks of unlocking each difficulty, because that was a big problem we saw with if they were going to keep it that way, that people would just not care and would just be really pissed off that it's just
that
they auto and go, right?
That they waited all this time just to have to be gated behind just doing mindless. Right. That would bore Krakens to no end, right?
Definitely, yeah. And even, we'll see how difficulty 5 goes, but difficulty 5 might be boring for them too. So yeah, like you guys were saying, I hope they do make it so difficult that it's gonna take like a level cap or a gear tier increase, something to get through it. So then after the call, you guys talked about the timer. I thought that was a really good idea.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe they haven't done that in other modes.
Oh, they need to do it. They need to do it in every game mode, even Alliance War.
You definitely get that feedback.
Yeah. It's like a reverse chess timer, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So the timer stops when it's your turn. You get to actually take. I don't know. I think there should be a limit, like how long you should take to pick your move. But you do get plenty of time to think about. Okay, do I want to use this? Do I want to use a special? Do I want to use the ult? Whatever. So, yeah, that was great that they did that. That was during the first test, but during the second test, reducing some of the missions, and it was kind of bugged a little bit, so I didn't get to do it too much. But I really wish we would have gotten to null on that second test, because that is without a doubt the funnest thing. And I hope I had told them during the call that I hope they reduce the number of zones. They said they can, but I don't think they're going to until they start hearing more feedback about that, because 6 zones doing the same thing every day, just autoing through, just isn't fun. I think 4 zones and then like a 5th zone of null or something, or 3 zones.
Yeah, so it's going to be 6 days, 6 days of sieges, and on the 5th day, I believe there's an elite mission with like 2 Mephistos in it and a whole bunch of annihilators. And there's also a tag in there that has the everything tag, which means that every single game mode is on. So you're definitely going to want to participate in Battleworld. That was something that definitely caught us off guard. How was the continuation of your second experience, Updog?
it was like I said, it was buggy. I didn't get to do it very much. It was about the same, I think, because we had our live game rosters in that time. I was still just autoing, and yeah, and then it bugged out, so we didn't get very far. So that's basically my experience.
Yeah, I definitely want to see some changes happen from the second playtest experience, even from the third playtest experience that we're going to be doing. I'm telling you guys want to battle that guy up there, and while you battle Null, like when you load in, like Jose was saying in the strike spot, you don't have to wait to battle the boss at the same time. Like, you don't have to wait for somebody to go in and battle him. You get to go in. All 24 alliance mates can go in and destroy this guy. And after he's destroyed, he just regains his health back up, and you can destroy him again. So you definitely want to plan with your alliance to not necessarily use all of your attacks at once, and there are no restrictions on who you can use in the final Null battle. In the final Null battle, I used a team like, let's see, I used Mephisto Annihilators, then I used Sus Secret Defenders, and then I used Mercs for Money Tangled APOC, and it still got destroyed on difficulty 1 at level 75. Updog, what teams did you use during the final Null battle? I actually want to know this.
I think I did use Annihilator's Mephisto as well, and they didn't seem to last as long. I'm trying to think what else. I like Spider Society a lot, so I think I ran them with like Scroll or something, and they got a lot of sustain, so they lasted quite a while. But yeah, I don't know if the dev is more concerned about just getting ultimately destroyed by Null with that difficulty 5 level.
Oh, yeah.
What his deal is, why he thinks difficulty 5 is going to be so hard. Because looking at the stats on difficulty 5, doesn't look like it's too much. So, but yeah, the Null battle is definitely. It's going to take a whole alliance, all 24 people and all 3 attacks. So
absolutely, this year. So we ended up seeing a darkness effect, right? And we also saw a rage effect, and we saw Null summoning a whole bunch of symbiotes as well. That blue bar you see up there is his turn meter. The green bar is his health. And all of those different abilities are his basic, special, ultimate, and passive. When you click on them, it gives you a little bit of intro and everything. And the little bar graph you see up there shows the different enemies that are going to be on the node and all of the modifiers that are going to be on there. Desir, what did you take to the final Null battle?
I don't remember the exact. I know I had one team where I did a pretty good amount of damage that I thought I did.
Dude, you did a lot of damage. I saw it show up.
Yeah, so the APOC was MVP of one team because the Falcon Punch, even though it doesn't do that max like 60% health gun, it's because they put like a limiter on it, but that still wrecked them pretty good. I think I did Annihilators on one of them. One of the other ones I did like a little weird unique team. I need to look to see what it was I did, but that one actually did fairly well, and I think that's when I threw APOC with it. Another one I just kind of got trounced because I didn't really know what I was doing, but you get 3 attacks per node and also 3 attacks on the boss node. The Null fight, we didn't get to like see the environment that they advertised. We just
what was
shot him
that?
on like some rooftop or something, which was weird. It's like, I'm fighting Null on a building.
I don't remember that.
So like watching
I swear it was in the environment.
No, we battled Null in the city. Like when you initially start the game, we were just battling him in the city, and that was one of the things that was the key point. We're supposed to be battling him at his throne.
Yeah, and so like watching the strike spot video that Pathfinder and Strike Fox did, and actually like hearing the music that we're gonna be experiencing, and that's actually really cool. They got Gore to like do a song for the game for this, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
As far as the waves go, like leading up to the null fight, so we have those 5 zones, then the 6th zone is null. Each of the nodes, you basically get 3 attempts into that, and it's going to take your high. So if you don't clear it, just at least try to get, I think, to wave 4, and that's going to kind of be your limit. And then anything beyond that's going to be like bonus points.
Yeah.
For those that's kind of curious, but that was something that kind of threw me off. It's like, okay, well, if I can back out and have that attack not count, like go back in,
yeah,
then I can just keep trying until I clear it, until you actually save that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a unique thing. So if you have like, say, your Secret Defenders team and you do really bad at the opening, it's like, okay, I'm gonna back out, try again. You can do that as many times as you want until you actually decide I want to save this hit.
Yeah.
And then you can try some other teams to see if you can like beat that wave portion. That was kind of important on the infamous Morbius fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, Morbius, man.
Yeah, but the null fight, just having him keep summoning those endless swarms of symbiotes was so cool. And as the rage builds up, it's like, okay, this isn't too bad.
No.
Then it's like phase 2, the fight has started now. Then it's more rage.
It just keeps progressively getting more difficult and more difficult. The animations are something you guys are definitely going to want to see. When I saw Null Ultimate, oh my goodness, I was in shock and awe. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I like the thematic, like, throughout the different zones, you had, like, a node of symbiotes or something. Like, they were all spawning in at the same time.
Yeah.
Had an anti-venom or whatever in there to revive them if need be. So, yeah, I liked they kept to the theme, which was good.
Yeah, I definitely liked the thematics of it all. It's definitely going to be one for the books when we finally get into a final version of this. Our 3rd playtest is going to be happening very soon, so hopefully we can share some more information with you guys. But moving forward, I believe we're going to be covering some sections. I believe we're going to be covering some of the full missions that were removed, or an additional mission that was removed for a Herald mission. I believe Mr. Desir is going to be covering that, and the Herald missions moving into turning into a mini boss version of sorts. Because when we brought up that Morbius, that is what sparked the mini boss of it all, right? And of course, he's going to be going over the Herald missions and all of the simple but fun mechanics that players can engage with. And it's gonna be really nice. Updog is actually gonna be covering some more stuff that we can talk about when we continue the continuation of this video. So let's move on to the next topics of Battleworld.
All right, so for this conversation, we're going to be discussing what changes were actually made to the zones, because we gave a lot of feedback as far as ways to try to improve the game mode. We want this game mode to thrive and succeed. So there were a lot of changes that we put out there during the call with Sean. What they ended up going with was, initially there were 5 nodes of basically, or 4 nodes of the basic battle portions. There's 1 elite node and then the 1 spec op nodes. One of the things that we really fought for was kind of inspired by the Morbius boss fight that we keep discussing. Let's try to make it to where there's 1 node where it's like a sub boss, to where they're gonna have a lot of cool mechanics. Maybe you hit this character 20 times, they drop a bomb, kind of like what they did in the Lord of the Rings game. Or maybe have it to where there's a shield operative, survive 4 turns where they have to keep hitting this special. We wanted something kind of, we wanted something really fun to try to engage, so you're not just sitting there hitting auto and waiting for the node to clear out. So they ended up making these things called Herald boss fights. It's essentially a mini boss of a your 5 characters versus their 5 characters. And each zone is going to have its own specific symbiote that you're going to be battling. On Zone 1, it's basically Venom with 4 other symbiotes, and they're going to have pretty boosted stats. For the difficulty 4 that we faced, it was a level 92, like almost 900k character. It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Considering we were using our own roster, we couldn't really get the full experience of that. So I'm really hoping that the Herald boss fights actually live up to the hype. There is no timer on it. So, Bendable, what was your experience with that Herald fight that we ended up doing?
The experience that I had with the Herald missions, we didn't necessarily have it on the initial playtest. It more so came by when we gave our initial feedback about this god dang Morbius we keep talking about. I'm telling you, you're gonna hear that through all these Envoy videos about this freaking Morbius, man. Oh my goodness, he was the real MVP with the timer boss going off. That's essentially how we got the timer down to not be ticking down as we are taking turns and everything. But don't worry, the Herald missions don't have timers. It's actually a place where you can enjoy animations. Who would have thought in Marvel Strike Force you would actually get to play a game mode where you can enjoy the cinematics of it all? Like, I wish this was in every game mode. What are your thoughts on that, Updog?
Yeah, I didn't get to test the Herald missions too much. I walked through one with you guys, so thank you for that as well. Just kind of get a refresher, but yeah, I like the fact that we do have that. They did listen to some of our feedback on it, and I'm hoping that whatever we come across in the 3rd playtest that we have before it goes live in the game, if for whatever reason there's some crazy bad thing going on, that they keep listening to our feedback and making that the perfect game mode that we want to succeed and everybody to love to play. So
yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, now some of the things that's going to be on the Herald mission, it's not going to use like the boss health technology that they have for like Null. So if you go down to where Null is, you can kind of see like the giant green bar. It's not going to have anything like that. It's just going to have either like a costume, or maybe they'll do something like they do in Dark Dimension with like a aura around them. You're going to know who the main boss is of that node when you load in, and it's a pretty fun combat. I think based on what they're doing with the current events coming in the game, I'm hoping they start implementing some of that into Battleworld. Maybe when like the next season of Battleworld comes out for the next boss. I think with the technology and the groundwork that we have laid out for Battleworld, this is going to be a really good game mode for a long time, as long as they keep nurturing it and kind of building off of what they currently have. What do you guys think about that? Bendy.
Oh, I think it's going to be really, really, really fun and engaging. Like, you're not just going to be able to one-man this guy. He's going to be building darkness. He's going to be building rage. And as you see up there, there's a Kestrel up there. You may want to bring a Kestrel so he doesn't summon anything. You never know. You could probably even use a Black Bolt in there to give him some disrupted, but who knows what the modifiers are going to be. I've been hearing some rumors about this everything tag where every single game mode is enabled, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. Always hit the info button when you do that. But battling Null, it is a breath of fresh air. You get to see his abilities, you get to click on him, it gives you a whole rundown list of all that. And the developers did mention, I believe we were talking about this earlier this year, that the boss isn't necessarily going to be Null's final kit. This is just an advanced version of his kit. So you guys may have been seeing like videos roam around or data mines or something like that about Null's kit. All of that is just what this boss has to offer. So it's not necessarily what Null's kit is going to be. I just don't want there to be a misconception of, oh, I gotta bring out my symbiotes. Wait to see the full kit. Desir, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like that in a lot of games where you fight this like overpowered boss, and then when you get them, they're a lot weaker, mainly because you don't want them to walk over everything. Updog, have you experienced any other games like that, to where like you fight this big epic boss and you lock and it's like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed?
No, actually, I haven't played too many other Hero Collector games, but I have heard the same thing that you were talking about. So yeah, the only thing that I can kind of relate to is when we had Red Skull in the game long time ago. Been playing as long as I have.
Yeah.
Red Skull was in the campaign nodes, and he had a completely different kit than what we got in the game, what we ended up getting when he first came out, and obviously what he has now. He hasn't had any touch-ups since then, but yeah, I like it. I like the fact that they're changing it up. He's not going to be like, hopefully he's not going to be too crazy OP when we get him in our hands.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to take a while, I think, for us to finally kind of get wore out of battling Null, because there'll be the new characters that come out. There'll be always going to be like theory crafting opportunities to do as much damage as fast as you can to him. So yeah, I'm excited about that. The only one thing that I'm hoping that they do switch up is maybe, I don't know, once a month. I'm not sure what the good time frame is going to be, but like hopefully they change these missions up, regularly.
Oh,
like
yeah.
once a month or something like that.
Yeah, if they keep up with it, definitely.
Yeah.
That would be a definitely good change, so that way we're not bored of just doing the same thing like every single day on those zones.
Right.
Now, as far as the node requirements goes, they do have kind of bonuses and boosts that they kind of get to it. An example would be like Extreme X-Men. There's a node on there where they get a massive amount of percent boost to pretty much all of their stats.
Yeah.
And they have their raid kits unlocked as well. So there's gonna be a lot of nodes to where you Secret Defenders and they will have their arena kits, for example, or Annihilators will have their open arena kits. There could be a node where it's like you mentioned, Bendy, where it's a everything tag. So all kits are open for the entire node, enemy side and your side. Do you like those type of things where you can kind of experience that outside of their set game mode?
Yes, I absolutely love that level of theory crafting, because in Siege Day 5 there is an elite mission. I believe it's like all red and everything. I believe you're going to be able to use Odin in there for bonuses, and there's some pretty crazy bonuses for Odin in there, but it has the everything tag. Now mind you, in that node you're going to see like war characters, arena characters, you're going to see raid characters in there, you're even going to see Crucible characters in there. So you have to be very mindful about what you take in there as well, because, say there's a Black Cat in there, you take bio characters, you're not going to be able to get speed up, or it can really mess with you. So the level of theory crafting is definitely there. It's going to be, it's just so fun. I'm telling you, if they would have treated Marvel Strike Force with this amount of love and care from the beginning, they would have had such an amazing thing. This sets a precedent for what is to come in the future of Marvel Strike Force. Updog, what did you think about the...
I hope they can live up to that precedent, because I know a couple of times the general, is it Ryan Jacobson?
RJ.
He had said that, he knows that the game did not start off well in the first 4 years.
Yeah.
Before he got there.
Appreciate it, Fox Next.
And they didn't take care of a lot of like catch up things and just maintaining things, the economy and everything. So yeah, I really hope I hope this is the beginning of a new era and it just kind of continues to get better from here.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're on the road to a very successful game now. Like
Yep.
this needs to be a lot of these things need to be included in the main game. The timers, the modifiers, because there's a lot of modifiers in here that we would love to see in Cosmic Crucible. What do you think about that this year?
Yeah, they've definitely been stretching the framework of what the game can do. We're seeing that with like the Scourges, the Trials. I keep going back to that Zombies and Vampires event because I'm actually really excited for that event. But having it to where they have these things in Battleworld now, it gives me hope that they're going to be able to eventually get those big characters like Galactus in the games where we can face Galactus maybe in like a season 3, season 4 of Battleworld. I just really want to know how often they plan to update Battleworld, because there's going to be that sweet spot of if they do it too early, it's like, I want to fight Null one more time, or if they do it too late, it's like, I'm ready for the next one. So they need to find the sweet spot of when to shift these things out. Now, there are going to be the first-time rewards that you see on the screen right now. So the big rewards going to be the purple ISO. There's going to be the T4s in there, and you will be able to start, I believe, on difficulty 4 of the Battle World. Once you end up clearing that, you get the bump to where you can do difficulty 5. I believe that's where they're going to end up staying at. And the recommended power for difficulty 5 is going to be that 7 red, blue 5. So they definitely have more difficulties they can add later on of maybe like Diamond 1, Purple 1, Diamond 2, Purple 2, then the Diamond 3, Purple 3, to where they can kind of keep it going to make it more difficult and have it last. Do you think they're going to do something like that, or do you think we're going to be stuck at that difficulty 5 for a little bit?
I personally think that we're going to be at difficulty 5 for a little bit. I think they have a way to sort of get the data on how many people have Null, how many people have this amount of shards, how many alliances have this and that. Like, they have to have that kind of data. So it's sort, remember when Quicksilver released and each season we had to wait to get shards for him and everything, and then the community started to outcry, I have him at 7 stars, I have him at 7 stars. But that was just the top end. Now the middle was like maybe a 5-star or a 6-star, and then the people below in gold and everything, they never got to see Quicksilver because he wasn't that low in the rankings. That is one thing that I do fear about them moving a little bit too fast, is a level 75 alliance. Imagine just being 30 shards short and only needing one more Battle World season, and then they just strip it away from you, and then you're just like, no, we didn't do well enough. It'll create a lot of tension within your alliance, and it will separate it 1000%. Like, it will break that alliance if you guys weren't able to do all of this work, all of this effort, all of this organization for nothing. That would really hurt. As an alliance leader, Updog, what do you think about that? Like, say you were leading a level 75 alliance and it just wasn't enough. How would that make you feel? Like, oh my goodness.
That would be heartbreaking. And at that point, I would be like, well, hopefully they put him in the Battleworld store, and then we can get his shards that way. So that's kind of why, there's been some times where I've thought about stepping down from being a leader. I've been a leader for like 3.5 years or so, but being in the Envoy program, being able to speak from the leadership experience, kind of keeps me going as a leader a little bit too. Not only that, but just my members just kind of sometimes they just surprise me. Like, we just have an amazing war or whatever. I'm like, oh man, that's so great. It makes me feel good as a leader. So if that were to happen though, I would definitely be advocating for some other kind of availability to get those last shards that those people need.
Yeah, I think having it to where when the season ends, maybe like a month or two later, have it to where Null would go to that Battleworld store, because that currency doesn't expire, so you can just hoard your currency if you end up being short, to where you can hopefully purchase shards for, say, Null, and then when the next character comes out, hoard again in case you guys fall short, then you can buy that again, because they did say the store is going to have those character shards and purple ISO in there, so that's going to be kind of a key store that we're going to want to monitor, and hopefully they can keep up on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree, because the Battleworld currency, like you said, it doesn't expire. Null is not an epic character, and he is not a legendary character, so that isn't too far from the norm, Desir. That isn't too far from the norm. You were saying something that really struck in my head. It was like, remember how in raids, if you were to complete a difficulty, you would get all the previous rewards?
Yep.
I wonder if that's going to be the same way. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the same way, because having it to where we start off, say, at difficulty 4, and there's that leaderboard aspect to it. We don't want to try to jump back to, say, difficulty 1 just to get those first time rewards.
Yeah.
Because then you have to really decide, is the leaderboard more important to where we're trying to fight for that top 100, or are these first time rewards important? And then you shift around as like a leader aspect. Somebody leaves, somebody comes in, and they never did that difficulty. So you'd have to take another hit on the leaderboard to try to get that.
That's
so I think it's gonna, I think it's gonna be one of those aspects to where you clear on difficulty 4, then you get all of the previous first time rewards. So that's gonna be a nice haul the first time you end up clearing that.
Yeah, like you were saying with the leaderboard, you don't want to backtrack. Null shards are on the line, folks. You want to have your alliance at the tip-top shape to be able to get Null, to be able to enjoy him. You don't want to be left in the dirt, because if you do not clear every siege on every day, you will not fight Null. I promise. We've play tested this first playthrough, second playthrough, and most likely the third playthrough. If you do not clear these siege days in the 24-hour period that you have, as well as everybody else, you will not get to battle Null. That is not a scam. If you do not clear it, you keep your VP, and then you move on to the same siege day that you were on until you complete it, and then you can just continue getting your VP along the way. But it's going to be a very sad next 5 days when you don't clear that siege day 1, and you're just like, you got that chip on your shoulder, like, man, we don't get to play Null. It's going to demoralize alliances to the point where they're not going to want to continue. What are your thoughts on that, Updog?
Yeah, it's going to be very important, and that's why I talked about, I think it was in your, maybe at the beginning of the video here, that I've already selected my Battleworld captain. He's already obviously looking at the info that's available out there to the public. Some of us envoys know more information, but basically, he's looking at what teams that Scopely's been saying to build up, and he's looking at anything he can. It's going to be a lot of work for a Battleworld captain, so I would, if you're a leader out there, I would recommend start asking your alliance, seeing who would volunteer for that. It may come to a point where you might need 2, so we'll have to see how it goes, but it's going to be a lot of upfront work, I think, but I just hope we get some tools too. Either in-game would be preferable, but on the website would be my second choice to be able to manage some of this stuff going on with Battleworld.
I'm really glad that you mentioned that. I believe it was Desir, you and I had a conversation about I believe it was either Desir or Updog. We don't have a way to communicate in-game with our alliance mates. We put a message in the chat, and then they unlock characters, unlock goodbye chat, see you later, and then it disappears. We all communicate through Discord, a third-party communication system. I just wish there was a better way to communicate with our alliance mates in game. Like, why can't there be a way where we can send an in-game notification. Captains and alliance leaders can send a message out to their alliance members that sends a notification to their phone, of course with like a 1 hour cooldown of sorts, so they're not just spamming people's phones. But I would really like to know the answer to a Scopely employee's answer. Like, if you're playing this game, how do you communicate with your alliance in something like this? And their answer is going to be through Discord or text message or something like that. It's not going to be in game because there's no way to cycle through. There's no chat history. There's none of that. There definitely needs to be a better UI with that for sure. What are your thoughts on that, Desir?
Yeah, something they can do is, you know how we get those like maintenance messages?
Yeah.
And basically you can't see your chat?
Mm-hmm.
What if they have it to where it's a captain posts something and they pin it, then it stays red and it's right there on the screen where the chat box is at?
Yeah,
that's an
exactly
easy fix.
Something to consider, Scopely. Something really smart right here. Yep. $1 million idea.
Now, for the null fight, there are going to be rewards for fighting null themselves, I believe. And it's going to be based off of the percent damage that you do to null.
Yeah.
And it looks like if you end up clearing the boss fight, there might be bonuses for it. So that's where the killing null actually comes into play, and also how that affects the leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
For the actual zones, there's going to be the 60k points that you need per zone. Any points beyond that goes towards the leaderboard. So if you end up getting, say, 72,000 points, that's an extra 12,000 points that goes towards the leaderboard.
Correct.
So even though you end up clearing the zone and you have enough to unlock the following zone, still keep doing what you need to do. Do your zones, do your spec ops missions, whatever you need to do. So that's where the leader has to come into play and see who's maybe hasn't done their Battleworld attacks yet. Just like we had those war captains that see if anybody missed their attacks yet with like an hour, 2 hours left.
Yeah.
Updog, from a leader standpoint, how do you plan to kind of monitor that?
I think the first couple of weeks we'll just let people, we'll let my captain try to decide like what teams are going to go into what missions and things like that, or maybe what teams we're going to use on against null. But I like to let things kind of just play out a little bit and see how people are liking it. I like to get feedback from my alliance. I'm just that kind of a leader where I like to let the alliance members dictate, what happens. Like, are we gonna start hitting 100% on this raid? Are we gonna go up to the next difficulty? I don't want to leave people behind. Is basically my goal. But yeah, like, let's say it's down the road and I see a person miss, like, I don't know, 2 days out of the 6 or something. Then we'll probably have to have a little bit of a conversation. We do a strike system in our alliance, so there'll probably be we'll probably have to come up with some sort of strike rule. But as of right now, I don't really have a defined rule for that yet. We're just gonna have to see how it goes.
That'll be the real Marvel strike force right there.
This is gonna be more. This is gonna be more of a fun question for both of you and for people watching on YouTube. So we have Null as the first Battleworld boss. Who do you guys want to be the second boss that we end up facing? Kind of put you guys in the spot here.
I'll let you take that one, dog. I'll let you take that one first.
They've said for a long time that MODOK is not able to be put into the game, so I hope it's going to be MODOK for the
MODOK for you.
You would really like to see MODOK, man.
Then make a aim rework once we get him into our hand.
Yeah, give us that graviton rework we've really been waiting for.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. A Battleworld boss. Oh my goodness. I keep hearing people talk about Onslaught. There's this current data mine out about Susan Storm, or sorry, Dr. Susan Storm. She worked hard for that title. I gotta put that in there. I would. PhD. Yeah. I would really like to see a boss like, say, Maybe Master Mold would be a really good one. Say like, or maybe even like a Galactus or something big, something that is playable. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves because we still want to be able to unlock that character and it not be too crazy, right? Like maybe we could get an Angel or something like that, or maybe even Legion. Maybe get Legion in the game because we are in the Age of X, right? It would be really cool to note, and something that you guys were bringing up about the communication with your alliances and everything. You can look ahead in the different sieges to plan ahead. Even from siege day 1, you can go all the way to the end and create this battle plan for all 6 days. So you could do all the planning on the first day. You don't have to plan from day to day to day to day. Because remember, like you guys were talking about, there's a lot of screen time. There's a lot of stuff we do in the game. And this is going to be 6 days out of the week. Like, what are your thoughts on that, Tasir?
It's a lot of screen time. I wish that we would have, say, Cosmic Crucible Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then Battleworld would be the following 4 days.
Yeah.
That's how I would prefer to have it. Maybe if there's like 1 day of overlap, that would be okay, but 6 days is a lot. Now they do have it to where Sunday is going to be the off day because that's when people actually switch out alliances. So it's good they actually thought about that.
That is really good.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the boss that I want to see for the next season, I want the High Evolutionary.
Ooh,
I think that would be amazing for what they can do with him.
Yeah.
That would be really cool to see. I really like that Guardians 3 movie. Even though it was a little bit on the edgy side, that would be a really cool guy to see in Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah, I hate him the most out of like, all of the Marvel villains because he did so good. But we do have other videos on BendableStraws channel and Updog's channel. I'm going to have the links in the description below, as well as their Twitch channel. So make sure to check them out. Drop them a follow as well. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.